Good morning, everyone. Well, I got a terrible chore ahead of me. My wife's computer, which I have discussed on the flat video before this one, is shutting down and starting up and shutting down and starting up, and some days it'll work all day without any problem. I had blown it all out with the air compressor. Everything's clean in there. I checked the plugs from the power supply, make sure that they're plugged in good into the motherboard, and make sure the memory's in. I pulled memory out with great difficulty, trying to see to get it back in again because of my piss poor eyesight, and no changes whatsoever. Yesterday, it worked okay. After my wife had a virtual appointment with the doctor, because she's not able to get out, at that virtual appointment, the computer kept shutting down, so they had to do by telephone, the virtual. After that, it seemed to work all right. That's the way our luck runs. What you're looking at on the screen here is two 8-gig memory sticks that Jim Asbell had sent me last year, and I just got around to trying them out yesterday. I said, I have nothing to lose. I told my wife, let's just try these. Maybe it's memory. Why would it be memory when it can work all day without any problem? The next day it'll keep shutting down. Don't make sense. Line voltage is about the same, 119 to 121, which is very, very good for us. Normally isn't, but so there's no line voltage problem. All plugs are in, solid and everything. So what you're going to see on the computer screen now is some information I photographed with my Boblov W1 off of my computer screen of the Dell Optiplex 790, which we ordered another one for a little less than $100. They're refurbished Dell computers. In other words, they're used, they're refurbished, and that's exactly what we have now. The one we have now, we paid about $200 for it. Windows 10. Now, it says in the fine print, optional Microsoft operating system. I don't know if I read that correctly. I have no idea what that's all about. But it is Windows 10. It says Windows 10 Pro. You'll be seeing that on the screen here. Matter of fact, I'm going to show it to you right now. Dell Optiplex 790, $100. This is what we ordered. Same thing as what we got now. Windows 10. Yes. Operating system, Windows 10 Pro. Computer Optiplex 790. Memory 16 gigs. Memory slots 4. Optiplex 790 tower with power cable. Okay, and there are other ones here on Walmart.com, refurbished computers. This is where we get our computers. So this Optiplex 790 here is the one that we have now. And the one that we have now, we paid $200 for it on Walmart.com. So these are basically used computers, but they've been in businesses and so forth, and they're refurbished. Okay, now that you've seen what it is on the screen, what you're looking at is a close-up tag on the two 8-gig memory sticks, the 240 pin, 1.5 volt. So I tried these in there, and the computer comes on, but nothing shows on the monitor. So I guess it ain't booted up or whatever properly. I was talking to Jim Asbell about it on the phone, and he gave me quite a bit of information. So my guess is that the Dell Optiplex 790 will not handle, it doesn't really tell you that, anything more than 4 gigs of RAM in each slot. So these are 8 gig RAM, so we figure we're going to stick 2 of these in there and it'll give you 16. So it doesn't make any difference. So I put these in, it would not come up at all. Put the old RAM back in, computer comes up. Of course, it does not always stay up. It shuts down by itself. So this memory didn't harm the computer, but it just wouldn't work. So that's a bummer, because these will look like real good quality RAM. They're nice and thick, large capacity, and would have worked just fine in the computer ordinarily. Now, another confusing thing is I can't seem to get the right information. As you looked at the ad, the video I made on Walmart.com, the $97 Dell Optiplex 790, it says the max RAM is 16 gig. Now, when I go to Dell and try to get the RAM capacity for the Dell 790, it comes out with Dell 790/SFF, which I found out later stands for small form factor. This is not a small computer. It is, as you can see by the photo on the videos that I showed before this, it is a full width, probably 8-inch wide computer. It's not one of them narrow towers. So all the specifications that I'm looking at, I keep finding is 790/SFF computer, small form factor. That is not what I got. So, originally in the computer my wife has now, we upgraded the memory when we got it, because it's only coming with 8 gigs of RAM. So right now it's going to be coming with 4 2-gig sticks. All 4 slots are going to be filled. Obviously I want to upgrade it to at least 12, so I want to put the 2 4-gig sticks that I got from the old computer in this one, in the black slots, I guess, which is the primary. I can't seem to get that point across, but from what I understand, they don't call it that. Well, I don't know. I was always told that the larger memory goes in the primary slots, and the smaller memory, if you have smaller memory, goes in the smaller, in other words, secondary slots, or whatever you want to call them. So anyways, what's in there now is 2 4-gig memories in the black slots. Okay? You got a black, you got a white, you got a black, and then a white. Okay, they're every other one. So I understand you got to have the same capacity memory and type memory whether it's in the black slots or the whites. The pairs have got to match. That I understand. So we've got the larger capacity memory in the black slots, which I think would be called the primary. Okay. All right, so if I put this memory in and the new computer shuts down, then I would say it's got to be bad memory, and then we're forced to stay with 8 gigs of RAM until we can get more RAM to do it. And it's very hard for me to put RAM in because I cannot see. It's too small to see if it's in the slots. I have to almost go by feel. But anyways, I don't think it's the RAM that's causing that, because bad RAM will either prevent your computer from starting up, and it wouldn't just keep starting up and shutting down, starting up and shutting down, or work for one day without any problems. Bad RAM wouldn't do that. A bad electrolytic in the power supply, I don't even know if that'll do it. So, virtually, we got an intermittent problem here, which if we went to the computer shop, it would cost so much money that it's cheaper just to go out and get another refurbished computer. Getting the data over is going to be a nightmare. The safest way to do it, and Jim told me, use the USB. It's slower. With the adapter that I have, it has a power supply and the cords and the, the SATA, has a SATA cable and everything, and go through that and the USB rather than to put the old hard drive into the new computer, which is going in eventually, okay? But that would be the safest way to do that, because you have an operating system that is on the old hard drive. So once this computer is up and working, then we can transfer the data over and then change over the memory. Right now we'll have to do it all with the memory that's on there because we want to make sure the new one's working. The new one should be coming in today. So it's very hard for me to make a video. I have all I can do to see to get the memory in as it is. But I wouldn't be doing that right away. I want to get the computer up and running first. And then do all that. So we want to get the data over, the pictures and everything else, the downloads and everything else from the other hard drive. I want to copy them over, not move them. And we're going to do that by way of the USB with the cabling and the adapter kit that I have that's made for plugging in a full-size hard drive, and it has a power supply. It has its own power supply to power it, and I guess they call it SATA, S-A-D-A, S-A-T-A, I don't know, cable. It's not the big wide flat ribbon. I guess they call that the IDE. This is the more modern one. So I have that rig. I bought it a long time ago. I don't know what they call it. So I'm not looking forward to this job. But I wanted to discuss, I wanted to get this memory in it because that'd be fantastic. But Jim sent it to me last year and he said, well, I don't even know. This should work, but we're not sure. Because I'm confused about the speed of it and everything else, and there's other numbers on there I don't understand. I do know it's 240 pins, and it's 1.5 volts. That I do know. Okay. So, we'll probably have to order more memory if this don't work, but it's just going to be another computer that's going to fill up my shed. But if I pull out the hard drive out of her computer that she has now and put it into the new one, after I get the data transferred by way of USB, which is going to be slower to do than to take the whole hard drive and just mount it into the new computer. From what I understand, Windows 10 will find the second hard drive. I don't have to go into the BIOS. I don't understand it because I get confused with the BIOS, because every time you want to save on exit, it doesn't do it. My buddy Dave, I told you about it before, he was the expert at all that stuff. But from what I understand, Windows 10 does not. You don't have to do that. You just put it in and boot it up, and it should be seen as drive D or whatever drive it's going to be. Okay. But for now, the hard drive will be, the data will be transferred, copied over by way of the USB and the USB power supply and all the cabling necessary to transfer it over by way of USB, and I think it's USB 3 on that computer. But what is very confusing is all the specs that I keep seeing when you type in Dell Optiplex 790 is showing the small form factor computer. We do not have the small form factor computer. That is limited to, I think, 8 or 16 gig, I don't know. It's different. We have the full-size desktop, as I showed in the video. Now, there's another snapshot I took of the memory, but it's saying 790/SFF, small form factor computer. And that comes right from Dell. And I don't know why I can't get the normal size computer, but on the ad at Walmart.com, as I showed in that video, it is showing 16 gig max, not 32. But it's not really telling you each slot, but I can't see it anyways. The maximum capacity in each slot is, I think, 4 gig. So you can't put an 8 gig, even though it plugs in a 4 gig slot. I always thought that the computer will only recognize 16 gigs, and that's the most it's going to recognize. So if you put in if you put in 24 gig, it's only going to show 16. That's what I thought, but I guess if you put an 8 gig in a 4 gig slot, instead of just not recognizing 8 gig and might only see 4, and 2 of these would be 16, but it doesn't even do that. It just won't show anything on the screen. So that's where we're at right now. I figured I'd throw this video out to you. I'm not looking forward to this job. So that's really all I wanted to show you. I pulled them out of the case. You can see how nice and thick these are. Real nice RAM. $240 pins. But I don't understand the terminology of it. But as I said, these would not work. Okay, so that's all I've got to say on this. I won't be videoing the computer itself. And I doubt I'll leave the leave the comments on this video, because you know, I'm not really asking a question. I'm just showing you what I got to do and what's ahead for me. And it's so confusing for me to do. It's really, really difficult, because I have to get my head right inside the computer case and even then I can't see good. And I'm so afraid of breaking the memory trying to force it in there because I don't know if I got it in the right slot or not. And, you know, when I did it in 2019, I had great difficulties, but it's getting even worse now, so. All right. And another thing, when you order memory online, the last time we got memory, they sent us the wrong memory. So, I really don't know what to do. Because when you ask for more, ask for memory, they show a capacity of 32 gigs, which is wrong. Because the Walmart ad, which is on the video that I showed you in the beginning, or earlier part of this video, shows a maximum RAM capacity of 16 gig. So, there's double talk there, and I really don't understand it. Okay, the computer just came in. Comes with a keyboard, which is not compatible because we've had one of these before and it doesn't recognize it. Comes with a power cord and a wireless mic, mouse, and the computer. Okay. It's the same thing she has now. I was going to take this outside. There's only 2 slots. Now, they got the white ones populated and the black ones not. Well, maybe there's 2 4s in here. It's supposed to come with 8 gigs of RAM. But I don't know. I'll take that out and I'm afraid I might screw it up. Alright, it's the same exact computer she had, and I think this is a 240 watt power supply. A hard drive, and there's room for another hard drive in here. It's a full-width computer, as I've been saying on the video. I figured I'd add this clip to the video I just put together. It's a Optiflex 790. And that's it. I hate to pull out the memory, but I gotta see what's in there. Now, if that's 4, if each one of these is 4, because it's supposed to be 8, it didn't really say that all 4 was populated. It just says it comes with 8 gigs of RAM. So if there's 4 in each, I should be able to put 4 in here and 4 in here. But what was confusing is, originally on the other one that she has now, the larger memory went into the black, and the smaller memory, capacitor memory, went into the white. Maybe it doesn't matter, because I was told that there was no such thing as primary. I was always told years and years ago that the larger memory goes into the primary slots, whether they're white or black, and the smaller memory, if you have smaller memory, goes into the next one. But regardless, this is it. So I don't need to take it outside. I'm trying to read the RAM size. I'm using the JVC right now. Trying to avoid pulling it out. Oh man, it's hard to see. This is the label on the bottom of the computer.
To you is to put your house on the market, move to Palm Springs or Arizona.
This is the front